Hey YouTube, this is Alexander, and the Nexus 6 is just around the corner, which may have you thinking, and it got me thinking, if the Nexus 5 is still a good buy and if it's worth it. So I'm going to go ahead and address that in this video. So this is my thoughts on whether or not the Nexus 5 is still a good buy. Let's go ahead and get started. So I'm just going to go ahead and real quickly and sweetly say, yes, the Nexus 5 is still a great buy. And the reasons are as follows. I mean, the appearance is still spot on, I would say. I haven't had any problems or issues with the hardware or the way that it looks. I've dropped this guy on tile and on pavement, and it's held up. The screen is not cracked. There's no warping or anything like that. I haven't had any issues with scratching on the screen. The only, I guess, real issue I've had is the paint sort of coming undone or scratching off around the protruding camera lens, and that is a little bit of bothersome because it is really kind of easy to tell. But I mean, other than that, it's been great. The soft touch does pick up some fingerprints, but it's really not even an issue. They're pretty easy to wipe away, and the Nexus lettering has not fallen off. So I'd say that the body of the phone, the appearance, the external hardware, has been just great. So I mean, it's still a good buy in that sense. Next up is performance. I would say that the Nexus 5 is still a pretty good performer. I'm able to, play games if I ever want to play games, which is very rarely, as you guys might know, but I can still play games and breeze through those. I can still customize using Nova and not worry about it lagging or having too many processes going on. I can multitask pretty easily, watch videos. There isn't really any stutter, and I wouldn't expect any either because it's got a pretty good processor in it. And although it is, I would say, maybe a year old, it's a Snapdragon 800 at 2.3 gigahertz compared to what could possibly be seen as overshadowing it, the Nexus 6 processor, which is a Snapdragon 805 at 2.7 gigahertz, pretty beastly there. I would say that the Nexus 5 can still hold its own in processing power, and it's still a great device in that aspect as well. Now, battery is something where it gets a little bit more on the edge here because it is a relatively small battery by today's standards at only 2300 milliamp hours, which can make it kind of hard for some people to squeeze by and get a day's use out of it. But in my instances, I'm still able to get through a day pretty easily, most of the time, I would say. There are some times where I need to put it on the charger if I'm going to kind of use it towards the end of the night as well, a little bit more. But for the most part, I'm able to get an entire day out of it and really not worry about usage. Now, I am home quite often, so that is my particular usage. But if your usage is ranging from light to moderate use, I would say there's really not much to worry about with the Nexus 5 and getting you through a day, even though the Nexus 6 is going to have a gigantic battery of like 3,300 milliamp hours or something. This guy should still be able to do the job for you if you're a light to moderate user. So finally, the camera. Now, it's kind of interesting to point that out in a video about why the Nexus 5 is still a good buy, but let me go ahead and explain why. Even though it still has problems focusing at times and the detail can be lost during photo capture, I would have to say that it has improved definitely since its initial release, and hopefully with subsequent updates, especially Android 5.0 Lollipop, it's going to continue to improve. I'm really hoping for that, fingers crossed. But also, when you consider it all done and said, it's about $350 unlocked on Google Play, and I gotta say, that's a steal. And even though the camera isn't the best, it's almost kind of easy to give it sort of a pass, especially since, I think I mentioned, you can still get some pretty nice photos out of it at times, as well as some pretty nice video. So I wouldn't really knock the camera, but I also wouldn't say it's, a really nice feature you're gonna get. And with the Nexus 6 around the corner and the fact that we still aren't really sure how well the camera is going to perform, I would say that the Nexus 5 is it's still got a pretty good camera, and it can still, take some pretty nice photos if that's something you're looking for. Now, it's not going to be a dedicated camera, of course, not going to replace any of your dedicated camera gear, but I would say it is still a pretty nice camera. So that's pretty much it. Just to wrap up, I think the Nexus 5 is still a really good buy for those who maybe don't want to break the bank or just don't want to spend that much money on the Nexus 6 or don't want to sign up for a 2-year contract to get that subsidy. If maybe you're thinking the Nexus 6 is going to be too big for you, the Nexus 5 is also a good buy. And if just maybe overall you're not sure if you really need that powerhouse or any other reasons, I would say the Nexus 5 is still a really good buy for people, and it's going to be available for the foreseeable future. So I would definitely recommend picking up a Nexus 5 in exchange for a Nexus 6 if you guys just, for whatever reason, aren't thinking about going the Nexus 6 route. So that's pretty much going to end the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe down there for more, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.